Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is a very exciting day. We got a lot of stuff to cover on the brand new release PUBG 2023 roadmap. And in today's video, I'm going to break down everything that you missed from like the 2-hour dev talk last night. We're up till 4 a.m. watching it, doing some drops, all that kind of good stuff. So let's go over all the need to know things. And then I'm going to break down each individual item and show you guys some footage from the dev talk. All right, let's see how quick I can rapid fire these. New map, codenamed Neon, new revive system, new map rotations for normal and ranked matches, new underbarrel attachments, destructible environments, potentially a new game engine, tactical gear slot changes, arcade mode changes and revamps, survivor pass revamps, progressive skins being changed and potentially old skins being added back, new vehicle collaboration, think James Bond, new anti-cheat updates, ChatGPT, map rotations are 1 week, allow modding to PUBG, and PUBG is tested into Unreal Engine 5. Let's jump in. Now, if that didn't get you excited, I don't know what will. So let's go ahead and break down all of the roadmap key highlights, and I'm going to sprinkle in here some of the in-game footage from last night that they showed us of the brand new map and some of the teasers that were in the dev talk. And on the left side of my screen here, this is just like my kind of notes that I typed up as I was watching the dev talk. And on the right side is actual PUBG's dev talk roadmap that you can read on their website as well. And I'll have a link to that down below if you're interested. All right, so starting off with normal matches, everything we discuss right now is only going to apply to normal matches at first. So some of the changes planned to normal matches for 2023 are going to be improvement to the blue zone and phases. So that means that they're going to make the rounds have a shorter runtime by increasing either the movement speed of the blue zone, or what I think they probably mean here is shortening the time delay between each blue zone phase. That way there's not so much dead time in between each phase shift and circle rotation. They're going to be adding new vehicle spawns and item spawns throughout the game, basically making it easier for you to find different weapons and attachments and vehicles that you need to rotate so that you're not doing so much of a loot fest in 2023. They're also going to be changing some of the tactical gear, and they showcase this that previously tactical gear, of course, as you know, takes up a primary weapon slot, and so that means a lot of people chose to just not even interact with them at all. So what they're going to be doing here is, I think, adding a separate tactical slot in your gear pack where there's an individual item slot only for tactical gear. Now, of course, if they do that, they're going to have to make some tactical gear balances, because obviously if everyone's running around with EMT gear in their tactical slot, well, that's going to be a little overpowered. So they didn't detail what kind of changes they're going to make to the tactical gear, but we can assume they're going to nerf them in some way, shape, or form, but allow you to carry them without necessarily having a penalty to your weapon choice. Now, next for normal matches is sure to be quite the biggest change for PUBG in 2023, and at least the one that I'm looking the most forward to right now. PUBG has decided to add revive system into the game. Yes, this is separate from the comeback arena that you've seen on Tego and on Vikende. This is an actual revival mechanic for maps that don't have comeback BR. So let's break it down a little bit more for the details that they gave us. Number one, they said that the comeback BR is still going to be technically in the game. So I would assume maps like Tego and Vikende are still going to have comeback BR, at least initially. Maps that don't have comeback BR, specifically 8x8 maps, are going to have this new revival mode tested. And although they don't say it in this dev letter, they did say it during the dev talk that they would specifically be targeting Erangel first as the first map to receive the revival mechanic. And more on the Erangel changes in a minute. So the way they described it is that the revival system would require a teammate's help, a living teammate's help to bring you back into the game. But unfortunately, what I read in here is that they also said it could require a bit of luck from the teammate to get you back. And as they say specifically here, this can be useful for new players who find it difficult to engage in battles in the comeback BR. Also, the new revive system requires luck as well, so players will be able to enjoy normal matches a little more lightly. That kind of makes me a little nervous. Hearing that it requires luck as well. What I hear when I hear luck in PUBG, I hear RNG. And the worst thing that I think that could be done is PUBG adding a revival item of some sorts that's an RNG loot spawn. You know, basically meaning even though you can be revived in the game technically, you have to get lucky enough that your teammate has the revival item that they found. Now, again, I don't know if that's actually the case, if that's what they're doing here, but when I hear luck, I think of RNG. And when I hear RNG, I think it's unfair. Obviously, I mean, it is unfair. It's luck. So hopefully what I think PUBG does with this revival system is they take the feedback that a lot of the community has been giving them about the super people revive system using some kind of defib. Or there's other elements that they could try as well, but it seems to be the most universally accepted, easy to perceive revive system. You know, you die, you got a timer of like say a minute or 2 minutes where your teammate has to come to your body and then do this revival mechanic. Alternatively, they could, you know, have something where it's a dog tag and you have to bring it to a revival station, or so, they could do stuff like that too, of course. But ultimately, I'm super excited to hear about a revival system. For me personally, I've been wanting this for so long, especially because I love to play duos and squads. And when you do that, you know, if your teammate dies early in the game, there's a lot of times no real push to keep going in that match. You just quit out, commit suicide, etc. So adding a new revive system would really help the health of the player base in those mid-game phases, because you're not having all kinds of people just, you know, die or quit. And also, from a selfish standpoint, for streamers, that's going to be huge, especially if this potentially brings back some of the bigger names in PUBG. And I know if you're just a casual player, you may not really think that that's going to benefit you in any way if big streamers come back. But I've always said that if you have, you know, bigger streamers playing your game, say Chaco, Dr. Disrespect, Shroud, etc., if they're playing the game and they're enjoying it, they're going to bring more eyes to the game. More eyes means more players. More players means healthier lobbies, shorter queue times for all of us. So overall, it could be a big net benefit if PUBG really nails down this revival system. So hopefully we'll learn more specifics about the revival system soon. And lastly, for normal matches, we're going to be seeing a change to the map rotation plan. And this is actually going to be pretty big, I think. The map rotation for normal matches are going to include 2 staple maps, Erangel and Sandhawk. Those maps will never change. They'll never leave rotation. But the other maps, Miramar, Tego, Destin, Vikende, Haramo, and Karakin are all going to be maps that are cycled through the rotation. And PUBG's plan right now is to have 5 total maps. So you're always going to have Erangel and Sandhawk. Then 3 of those other maps are going to be cycled through. But they're trying something new here. They said they're going to try to rotate the maps every week to 2 weeks. In my opinion, they'll probably do it, you know, during the server downtime maintenance, which usually happens like every Tuesday or Wednesday. And so potentially you could be seeing a new pack of maps cycled in every 1 to 2 weeks, which could be actually very, very good. The selfish part of me is a little unhappy to see that Sandhawk is one of the staple maps, because I know it's a very popular map for Asia. And I obviously know that people in North America and EU enjoy it too, but it's not the most popular map in our region. So I do hope that they dial in the region specific map rotation, so that for like North America, for instance, players love Erangel, players have been really loving Destin and Vikende. I feel like one of those maps should probably be the staple map, and then the other ones can be in the rotation. So just my thought. Let me know what you guys think down below about the map rotations. Now, speaking of map rotations, they are going to be changed for ranked as well. So let's go ahead and get into some of the ranked changes. So for ranked, you're going to have, the new thing is all 8x8 maps will be into the ranked playlist. As opposed to them just having Erangel, Miramar, and Tego, now you're eventually going to see Destin be added to the ranked playlist, and Vikende being added to the ranked playlist, and the potential new map that we'll get to in just a minute. However, for ranked mode, they're not going to have them all at once. They're going to do a rotation-based system, kind of like they do in normals, but they didn't outline what that rotation system is going to be. If it's going to be a weekly, a bi-weekly, a monthly, so they didn't exactly say that yet. In addition to the ranked map changes, they're also going to be adding some items to ranked mode that previously were not allowed in ranked mode. The blue zone grenade, the foldable shield, the emergency pickup, that's the big duffel bag that you put on the ground and the plane comes and picks up you and your squad. Those are all going to be added into ranked mode. Self AED and revival system will not be added to ranked mode. They're going to be improving the ranked rewards. No details given exactly on how they're going to do that. And all the changes that they apply to ranked mode now are going to port over to the esports scene as well. That's going to have some pretty big implications, because now teams that are playing for hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in esports mode are going to have the same exact rule set and play styles that you will have in your ranked mode. So they're trying to bridge that gap a bit more, which I think is a good thing. Oh, and sorry, I must have missed this detail. They did say for ranked map rotations, Erangel and Miramar Tego are fixed, but they're going to have only 4 total maps every 2 months. So every season, they'll change the ranked map playlist. So you'll have Erangel, Miramar Tego, and they'll probably add in, say, Destin for one of the seasons. Maybe they take out Destin, put Vikende in for one of the seasons. So that's how ranked's going to work. 4 maps total, rotated every 2 months, which is the length of one season. So like season 23, season 24, etc. Now on to gunplay and mechanics changes. Now recently they made some pretty big changes with the 5.56 and 7.62 balances. They did the M16 and the mutant change up to try to get some non-meta weapons more used. They made the nerf to the M4, but brought the AUG to world spawn and added a really dominant 5.56 FAMAS to the crates. All of that was an effort to shake up the meta and kind of even out the balance between player pickup counts for 5.56 and 7.62 weaponry. The notion is that they're going to continue to do those types of changes throughout 2023, but they didn't give specific updates or inputs as to how they're going to address future plans or even future ideas that they have. One thing that they did mention right now for attachments in gunplay was the addition of underbarrel attachments. So they specifically showed an M203 grenade launcher underbarrel. I think it was on like an M16 or something like that. I'll have some footage to show you guys. And so you can assume that they're testing out underbarrel grenade launchers, maybe an underbarrel shotgun attachment, those kind of things, which could be cool because that would force you to make a decision of putting an underbarrel attachment, and that would negate the use of a grip. You would not be able to put a grip on that weapon anymore. So you're going to sacrifice some weapon control for the added utility of maybe a smoke grenade launcher, a flashbang launcher. Maybe they even add high explosive grenades to the underbarrel attachment, and you could see how that would be very, very powerful. Now, one thing I did want to point out about the underbarrel attachments is that there is always a bit of a language barrier, translation problem when going from Korea to here to North America, or to English rather. So what they said here is, I'll read it specifically. Additionally, we are conducting R&D, so research and development, for underbarrel attachments and resistance to add new mechanisms, and plan to add weapons that can induce interesting gameplay. So the weird part is this one here, and resistance to add new mechanisms. So I don't know if they're talking about they're trying to overcome their resistance to add new things that shake up the game. I'm assuming that's kind of what that sentence is supposed to mean, but that's kind of up for interpretation. And they obviously go into a little more detail saying, this will allow players to make strategic choices with the weapons that they have not used often. So they're thinking of ways to get you to pick up non-meta weapons, to use things that are kind of, very niche use cases. So I like the idea of that. I like having things that give you some extra choice, player choice, and also allow you to approach the same scenario in multiple different ways. You can push a compound in multiple ways depending on what weapons you chose to load out with for that game. So I like the idea and the sound of that. All right, next up is the new map and old map changes for 2023. So they teased very quickly a brand new map codename Neon, and I'll show you guys some images on screen here. The places that they tease look actually really beautiful, very, very cool environments. And I believe in the dev talk, they actually said that this was kind of modeled after one of the most unique places or unique cities on Earth. My brain immediately went to Tokyo, codename Neon, and they talk about having the map will feature multiple areas ranging from a modern city full of gleaming skyscrapers to a more traditional rural area that creates a unique atmosphere that hasn't yet been seen in PUBG. In my mind, that is kind of like Tokyo, how You know, on one end you can be in this like hustle and bustle neon city, and on the other end you can go to these like quaint mountains and like just really cool rural areas. And so that's kind of what these pictures lend to showcase to us, which would be really cool. And this does kind of connect well with the recent rumor or leak that there is a skyscraper map being developed for PUBG. This was an unconfirmed leak or rumor I saw floating around on Twitter, but that would make sense because they're talking about in the dev letter gleaming skyscrapers, and then in that leak a skyscraper type map. So this would mesh really well that this is an accurate representation of what they're going for. They go on to say exploring the map is going to be very exciting with multiple ways to transport ground, air, and water. They're working on a new gameplay system for Neon that might become a new way of obtaining items, which could change the dynamics of how the game is played. When I hear that sentence, I think and I hope for some kind of workbench, some kind of crafting system inside the game. I know a lot of people are hesitant to hear that because they think that's a little too like Tarkov-y, you know, crafting in the game. But I love the idea of making unique weapons and unique experiences based on your own play style, and having a way to change that in game seems really cool. And they said, of course, they're going to have new weapons, new vehicles, dynamic weather, and other cool visuals on that map. No concrete evidence to showcase for that yet, but we'll keep you updated. Now, in addition to the brand new maps, they're going to be making some map revamps, what they call sub updates. These updates right now are only geared for Erangel and Miramar, and they're going to be tackling Miramar first with the southern island of Miramar. And they showcase a few images, which we'll put up on screen here. And they actually look really cool. They look very refreshing, very neat areas and interesting places to explore. But ultimately, I don't think the South Island of Miramar doesn't get visited because of the areas. I think it doesn't get visited because it's not very tactical to land out there, because, you know, very infrequently do the circles end there. And there's only like, what, 2 bridges to escape from over there. And if you don't get a boat or something, you're kind of in trouble. So we'll see if the changes they make to the southern island also add different gameplay elements that allow you to get out or get into that island. Now, they did state the changes for Miramar are probably not going to be happen until the second half of the year. And for Erangel, they didn't give any big details about the changes that they're going to be making to it, but you can assume it's going to be similar to the Miramar refresh. Well, they'll change up, you know, some of the maybe areas of the map that don't get a lot of love. Maybe somewhere near Quarry, maybe up top in Zarki, you know, places that players don't typically land at heavily, they might change up. So looking forward to seeing some additions there. All right, moving on to the other modes in PUBG. So as you know, there's the tutorial mode, there's normal mode, there's ranked mode, and then there's other, which is basically the arcade mode. And the arcade mode has only had team deathmatch for the longest time. Now they're finally talking about bringing in some of the most liked PUBG Labs modes into the ranked mode, into the arcade mode playlist. So those are going to include the Intense Battle Royale. They showcase a little UI, which I'll put up on here, that had Intense Battle Royale, Zombie 2.0, Fantasy Royale, which is one of my favorites, and I think it's called Arena mode, the one that was basically like Counter-Strike, but in PUBG, you know, where you had to bank up points each round and then use those points to buy a weapon for the next round, which is a really fun mode. They're actually talking about like legitimately adding those into the arcade mode. Obviously, this isn't the first time they've said something like that, so we'll see how long that takes to come to fruition, but that could be really, really cool. All right, speaking of really, really cool, this next part is going to be some of the biggest news in PUBG for 2023. Now, whether or not this stuff gets implemented is still yet to be seen. These are just in the talking phase, but listen to this. PUBG is currently testing out and attempting to port one of their maps to a new engine version, i.e. PUBG has actually tested out adding one of their maps into the Unreal 5 engine. Let that sink in. This could be huge for PUBG. This is something the community has been, crying for literally so long. Now, this doesn't mean a PUBG 2.0. In fact, in the dev talk, the question was asked, and he said specifically, this doesn't mean that it's going to be a 2.0. He said, we don't know what it means. We're still testing. We're still trying things out. So this isn't to say they're changing PUBG into this new engine. This isn't to say that they're, you know, working on a second PUBG. This is just them openly saying, hey, look, we're trying out new things. We want to use this new engine if it's possible. So we basically ported over one of our existing maps into this engine and doing some tests to check it out. And that actually lines up really closely to what player IGN tweeted out 2 months ago. Actually, I found the old tweet in January. He said PUBG and Unreal Engine 5.1 looks beautiful. He was given some thoughts on whatever features or map that he had seen. So I think this is something they've been doing for a while, the Unreal Engine 5 testing, and that's very exciting as a player, because I would love nothing more than for PUBG to be updated with a brand new engine. I think that would be a breath of fresh life into the game. And they go on to say, please bear in mind that this is not yet decided whether this transition will even be possible. However, we will do our best to give it a try. More details coming. Another big bombshell, we have also been researching world modding, where players will have the ability to create and share their own unique game modes and environments. Again, this is currently just a plan, but if everything works out, this may become a very unique way to enjoy PUBG. It's really ironic that they said this in the dev letter, because literally just yesterday on the podcast that I posted with me and Blitz5, that's the Dome Show podcast, by the way, if you guys don't know, I'll link it top or down below on YouTube, Spotify, all that kind of good stuff. I talk about one of the saving graces that could be for PUBG is if they added modding support. There is something very, very unique and fun and engaging about players being able to create their own experiences and then share those experiences with all of the other players. So if that does come to fruition, that could be a fantastic change for PUBG and really, again, add some life into the game. Now, on top of that, they've also been testing out destructible environments in PUBG and even in the current model of PUBG. So this isn't specific to the new engine. This is actually now PUBG. And if you remember, Karakin was the first map that they actually had destructible environments. They had the C4 walls you could blow out, and they had the sheetrock walls you could shoot through or blow up, and they had the big rockets that come down that would actually totally destroy the building altogether and create a new building, a new environment to work around, giving you different sets of cover and whatnot. So they're testing more of that now, and they specifically talked about, and they specifically gave an example of, what if you were in an open field type scenario and you needed some kind of cover quickly? Well, what if you threw a grenade down or an explosive down and created a mini crater, a hole that you could drop in for cover? They tested or are testing stuff like that, where you can interact with the environment with different explosives. And I'm assuming they're probably talking about buildings as well, blowing certain holes into walls to make it maybe easier to approach a compound, or to give you a way out of your compound if you're kind of boxed into one area. So that could be really, really cool, really unique. And you know, if you've ever played a game with the destructible environments, like Battlefield was a big one that I've always loved. It's super fun and engaging and unique to have a destructible environment that you're in, because no engagement can ever be the same. Because if you come across an enemy with the right kind of explosive, they blow a hole in your wall for cover. You know, you're used to holding one particular angle of staircases, and now you've got multiple attack vectors that they could be pushing to you from. So really, really cool way to shake it up. All right, now the next few things are going to be out of game adjustments, so not in game, you know, mechanics or maps or nothing like that. So I'll kind of go through these pretty quickly here. They talked about changes to the progressive skins. So what that means is making updates to the current progressive skins, changing the way some of them look and changing the way some of the attachments look. They've also talked about bringing old progressive skins back, but they did not say or address any part about the gambling, scamminess, contraband, create code CDome at checkout part of it. So they just talked about revamping the skins, changing the way the reward system works, and bringing old skins back. So nothing great to give you there, except obviously you're bringing the old skins back. But again, if it takes $1,000 to get the old skins, are you really that excited for it? You know, I don't know. Create code CDome. They talk about mastery updates and workshop changes and in-game reward changes. No details, but just that they're going to keep evolving that type of system, which for the workshop, that's great news, because the workshop has been one of the best things that PUBG has done out of game in the past 2 years, adding a way that you can get old and unique skins by paying for them or just by playing the game and earning BP has been really, really rewarding for players. So definitely like that. They teased a new collaboration with Aston Martin. So like they just did with McLaren for the coupe, it looks like they're going to do the same exact thing, but this time with Aston Martin. I think it was like a DB12 or something like that. I'll show a little image of that here. And it's another convertible roadster, which, you know, part of me is happy to see a new collaboration because I think the McLaren collaboration was cool and it still is cool to have it in the game. But it's kind of odd that they would choose another two-seater convertible to do a collaboration with, especially when we had that Jeep teaser a couple months ago. And, you know, there's all kinds of other vehicles in the game that they could do collaborations for. So it just seems odd they would choose the RB Coupe as the vehicle to do another collaboration with, you know? I don't know. So we'll see how that goes. They also talked about added clan system to PUBG. So if you're a fan of the channel and you want to join Clan Dome, we're going to be adding that. Stay grouchy. Survivor Pass changes. They talked about 2 different changes spread out throughout the year, but they didn't say exactly what they were going to be. They just simply said changing the reward structure of the Survivor Pass and changing the difficulty to complete the Survivor Pass. Basically trying to make sure that more players can complete the Survivor Pass before the time runs out, which is good. Talked about a lot of anti-cheat changes. Obviously they couldn't go into very much specifics with anti-cheat because if they do give away too many specifics, then the cheat developers can, you know, kind of use that to their advantage. So a couple of things that they said was they detected more unauthorized programs with their software Zakynthos. Then they've updated the report system that allows you to report cheating players better, more accurately. And they did mention hardware bans, and they said that the changes that they made from 2021 to 2022, they saw an increase in 304% hardware bans. So 304% more players were banned in 2022, hardware bans permanently versus 2021. So whatever changes they're making are working, but obviously you can imagine the cheat developers are working just as hard. So that'll be an ongoing battle. And then lastly, they mentioned the use of machine learning, which is going to better help detect, you know, cheats, hardware bans, that kind of thing. So think of like, you know, Chat GPT, AI, that kind of stuff. All right, guys. So that's a wrap for the PUBG 2023 roadmap and the Dev Talk recap. If you guys did enjoy it, of course, leave a thumbs up, share this video with a buddy, and get subscribed for more PUBG content. Let me know down in the comments below. What are you thinking about the update? We got a bunch of different stuff they talked about. Unfortunately, they didn't detail or iron out exactly when we can expect a lot of these changes. My assumption would be we should be seeing some of these changes as soon as next month in April, because April is going to start season 23. So that's going to be a new season pass, and it would be a great opportunity or a great time for them to drop one of the changes they talked about. I mean, again, to kind of recap, you got the new Neon map, Revive system. I want to see that first and foremost. Map rotations every 1 to 2 weeks. Under barrel attachments, destructible environments, a new engine that they were testing for PUBG, tactical gear slot changes, arcade mode changes, survivor pass changes, progressive skins, anti-cheats, modding for PUBG. I mean, there's a lot to digest out of the roadmap. So hope you guys found this video fun, helpful, and encouraging as PUBG players as we continue to play the game we all love in 2023. So thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video or the next live stream on YouTube or on Twitch. Links in the description. All right, take care, guys. Peace.